This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure and passion. Nestled in the heart of Idaho's mountain wilderness, White Cloud has been mastering the craft of coffee for more than 38 years, bringing the spirit of the outdoors into every cup. Discover the difference in their premium beans, meticulously roasted to capture the essence of the mountains. From robust, full-bodied classics to creative flavored blends, White Cloud coffees are designed for you to appreciate the subtleties of premium coffee. Now, listeners of our podcast can get an exclusive 10% discount. Just use the promo code CREATIVITY at checkout. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY for your 10% discount. Start your adventure today. Journey to whitecloudcoffee.com. Tap into your most original thinking. Organize your ideas and create the opportunities to launch your creative work. Unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson.
Well, welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity, where we talk to creative practitioners all around the globe about how they get inspired and how they organize ideas, and most of all, how they get the confidence and the connections to launch their work out into the world. And today I'm so glad to have as my guest 25-year career actor in TV, film, stage, and now author of his debut novel. Please welcome Russell Andrews. Russell, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Terrific. Thank you. This is all very exciting. And here you've been, I'll say, the other side of the camera, acting out other people's writings, perhaps, and in your various roles. And now you've written your own book. How does it feel?
Yeah, it actually feels good. And it is now 38-year odyssey. However, it didn't take that long. The story, fortunately, came to me 38 years ago. Yeah, it's great. I was in Houston and I met the family, this young boy who at the time was 11, his two siblings and his mom in a resale shop, Salvation Army to be exact. And I was just so engaged, enraptured, if you will, with the family. They look like me. They look like my brother and my mom. I'm not foreign to that world, full disclosure. And I started following at a distance. I felt really odd, but I couldn't take my eyes off of them. I never spoke to them. They never spoke to me. I overheard conversations in the book. The young boy's name is Junior because that's all I heard his mom say to him. And he said he called her mom, and that is, or the names that I have, the names of his siblings. I used my niece and nephew to give them names. I didn't want to say, hey, you, this, that, and the other. And everything as it happened that day, and per what I can remember, is in the book. And that said, I have to tell you, I didn't know at that time what I had. And I knew I wanted to write something, but not to sell for any monetary reason. I didn't want to forget the family. Right. So I just put it on different pieces of paper. And in the arts, we always save different things for different reasons. So what I did is to get them to that particular store that day, I infused moments in my life because, again, seeing them, I could almost see how they got there, where they're going, where they're coming from. And so I used my moments because the woman was domestic, it was obvious, and so was my mom. And they got off the bus stop right out there. I could see out the big window right on the street, them getting off the bus from my POV. So again, I just put moments of that into the beginning to get them to the store. And it turns out that could be any day in my life as a child.
Isn't that interesting how
Yeah.
the patchwork of life events
Absolutely.
often reflected in other people we see, whether we're in a store, whether we're riding on the bus, whether we're in a theater, what have you.
Yeah.
And the book is entitled
Shoes. Yeah.
and why is that
Shoes.
central to your story? I want to talk about the illustrations too, but shoes as a central point, how that encapsulates in one word.
What's interesting, the young man, boy at the time, he had a limp. It wasn't over, but you can tell he was laboring a little bit. And as mom was doing her shopping, as it is in those stores, and the kids were over playing with these dilapidated toys that always seemed to be there, Junior kept going back and forth to the shoe rack. And he was looking for something in particular. I did not know what, but it turns out that Junior had these kind of black corrective boots on, right? And what he wanted was a pair of sneakers, any kind.
Mhm.
And he would take a pair to his mom. She'd say, no, we can't get them. He's disappointed. He takes them back. But when he went back from where I was behind these old hats, he found a pair of Converse, the old school Converse, the Chuck, the Canvas, and they were horrid. They were beat down, but he was in love with them. An older man walked up and saw Junior was just such a fascinating spirit. This old man walks up and he asks him, he said, you really like those? And he says, yeah, but I can't get them. My mom and whenever you buy the book, mom's getting married tomorrow. So we have to get, you see what's happening?
Totally, totally.
And so we have to get things, we can't get them. So the old man says, did you look at the bottom? He says, no, I didn't, but it's okay, sir, mom. And I'm just blown away because I'm thinking, okay, stop. The creator can grab you in your shirt sometime. And he says, do you see what's at the bottom? He says, NC. The old man says, you know what that means? Junior says, no. The old man says, it means no charge.
Mm.
I'm stunned. He tells the man why he wants him. There's a little conversation that ensues, and he says, people call me shoes because I have to wear these boots, but I always want a pair. And paraphrasing a little bit, and from the book. And the man said, they're yours if you want them. So Junior hobbles over to his mom. He tries to explain. The man said he can have them. What man? I swear on my mom's grave. We looked over and that old man was gone. Me too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I saw all this. I'm thinking, oh my God. And I was young. I was working at a prison and I'd been in college, played ball, and got hurt, and that dream was over. And so I'm just single, young, 25, 26, living life, hard headed, to be honest with you. But this store was right in the hood where I grew up, man. And to see that what was shown to me, rather, and to be able to remember it. And I made notes and everything over the years, but during COVID, I decided, obviously, this is an opportunity.
This is the time.
And I put the doggone thing together and it has been received so well. I'm stunned. It's self-published. It's on all the online outlets and that's its own hustle. But
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the creative process there, but
yeah,
I remind the listeners it's called Shoes by Russell Andrews, and as Russell said, available on all the online platforms. Russell, you're thinking about and you're telling the story of an angel, a mentor, somebody that crosses into our life to make such an impact. And you
right.
describe the motivation of your own writing and publishing this book. What kind of impact were you hoping to have?
I have to be honest with you. That's an odd statement. We hope we're always honest. But I have to be honest with you. I sincerely just did not want to forget that young man. He'd be 49 right now.
Mm.
He would know. I never spoke to him again. I never saw them again. They walked out of the store. I saw them with their bags and was thinking, oh my God, the things we throw away in life, people make lives out of. And everyone was happy. The little dress was found for the little girl and all that. And they were going, and she was getting married tomorrow, and a whole new world was about to start for them. And I just didn't want to forget it. So the creative process, I just say in the arts, I've done some things that I'm happy about, but the creative process was given to me not as a dare by the universe or our creator, but to show me is there's value in everything. There's value in everyone, but everything doesn't have to have dollar signs.
Yes.
You don't, it doesn't always have to be transactional. That was something that my spirit needed. That was something that I carried over the years. I've shared it a few times and told different people, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But of all the things I've done, of all the places that I've been, of all the massive mistakes I've made in my life, staying with that story. And Junior, who has been one of the true blessings and benefits, long diatribe to answer your question, the creative process was there. I just needed to remove the fear of what I thought people may think of this simple story. No broken glass, no drugs, no gun. I grew up in that
Yep.
and didn't want that
Leave
because
that
I
behind.
also knew
Yes.
families that had never seen that. And it was not, again, the story itself was not foreign. The creative process just needed courage, and I had to live with the results. And lo and behold, that story and all of this that we're living in right now, that story, it still holds.
Yes.
And I'm happy about it. I'm proud of it.
That's great. Certainly pushing through, overcoming fears, resilience. You mentioned all the things you have done in your creative career, most of all, founding the Stage Walkers and all the numerous accolades that have come with that NAACP Theater Awards and Laurence Olivier Awards, but all your roles on TV and film and HBO and AMC and all the rest.
Yeah.
You think about, I wanted to dial into this motivation of giving voice to people's stories, of helping others overcome their fears and fighting through maybe some diversity issues, all the things that you have pushed through in your creative career.
I am from the South. I'm from Huntsville, Texas, born in the early 60s. I've had experiences there and in Houston where we eventually landed. I've had those experiences, and for the elephant in the room, racial. However, I did not have what my father had.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have what my mother had or other people. That that backdrop brings me to the creative process. I've been fortunate enough to absorb everything around, most things, I should say, around me. And while they were good and some weren't, some of the pains, admittedly, were self-inflicted. We didn't know we were broke to whatever degree until you look around Houston, Huntsville, and I had a relatively good life. I always wanted to do something. Personally, I thought it was sports. Most people, and I say most people generously, thought that would be it also. But again, we all have dreams. But for one incident, one bad choice, one accident, it all changes. But what do you do? I heard Bernie Casey. You may remember that name years ago. Bernie was a football player, Hall of Fame, all that. I heard an interview with him some years ago, and what he was saying was what happens to a lot of athletes, and there was no racial labels. He was just speaking of the athlete. What happens is when their careers are over, some of them tend not to do so well. It's because what they miss is the structure. What they miss is the discipline. What they miss is the limelight, the applause. And so many times it ends immediately. And now what do I do? I was in a situation where I dabbled a little bit in the arts in high school. Part of that was just skipping one class to go to the quote unquote drama room, right?
Yes.
And there were other guys in there who had far more talent and, discipline and that. But I stayed with it, and it was expressive. It was creative. It was humbling because I was horrible, horrible. But I loved it. As a matter of fact, my first attempt at it was pantomime. And again, and I copied something I saw on TV years ago, Red Skelton or something,
Yes.
one morning, and I verbatim, I took it to school. One thing led to another. Here I am, however many years later in the arts. But to be able to create stage walkers after I was here, I was well into my career. I've been off Broadway, overseas, and some things. But I always wanted to give back in some way, the way it was given to me, but without the cliche and melodrama. I figured if I could get it, and I don't mean that the kids I'm trying to project this on were going to be successful or whatever. Success has different levels, it's all relative. But I felt like if I could just give them an opportunity. And what ended up happening is it grew for me.
Mm-hmm.
My career, not so much in terms of the bank account or visibility, but what I was actually doing. We are storytellers, and we all are walking with novels and movies and films and poetry. And I grew up with kids a lot who never left their neighborhood. It's not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, there's safety and comfort in that. However, I imagine what they would do and say if they had the, the opportunity that I had.
Yes.
And here in Los Angeles, walking my dog one day, I saw a friend, he walks his every morning. And I just said, I want to produce a play. And I'd done some in Houston before, some of the bus and truck touring plays. But this was going to be different. Wilson was now a friend, August Wilson. I had access to him, and I called him. I asked if I could do it, and lo and behold, he said yes. And I started asking around. I realized that the expense of it was overwhelming. We have not because we ask not.
There
And
you
so
go.
I started asking. There were people coming and contributing, and there were paint brushes and nails and hammers. And before you knew it, I was doing Ma Rainey's Black Bottom here in Los Angeles. And it turns out I had radio ads, I had TV, because few people would just lend it because they saw what was going on. It didn't hurt that August was one of the most produced playwrights
That's
in
right.
the country at that time. But I had access, and I had a couple of A-listers, James Avery and Loretta Devine, who committed to doing it, knowing that there was nothing to gain financially. They were just artists, and that's what we do. And they showed up, and I have to tell you, Stage Walkers was born of my idea. But when I tell you that we climbed a mountain that was crazy, and Loretta and James, for life, They'll never say I owe them, or James is no longer with us. That's another story, but they will never say that I owe them anything, but they gave so much, and now I have a name because of what they helped me build. And we've gone on to do some others, and there's a number of awards I have to be humble and proud about. But it was, again, throwing out the fear and trying to tell the stories that my now departed friend, he's everyone's friend, but we were close, has done and left with us. So
Yes.
I was fortunate.
And you can tell at your core, like you said, you are a storyteller. And I bet your success also attracts all sorts of new projects. Are there any things that you're percolating on these days and you hope to bring out upcoming?
Shoes actually is about to be a short. And the reason we're going with the short, first of all, it's easier to do, but the goal is to option for a larger project. However, Shoes, as it were, the last chapter itself is its own play, right? In one setting in the store. So that's happening. But LaChris, Jordan, and I, who brought you and I together.
Yes.
She's a friend and wonderful friend, but a publicist by trade, film director. We are going to shoot that very soon after she finishes with the project she's working on now. But I'm trying to contain it, give a little info and contain it. However, there are a couple of things that I'm an actor, so we're always auditioning for something.
Yes.
So yesterday, the phone was really hot yesterday, but I can't speak on that as of yet. However, it was, listen, we can sit around here for months doing nothing. Right? You do your push-ups, you drive your Uber, you eat your pancakes, everything you do. And then all of a sudden,
right, in 1 week.
And years ago, a friend of mine, Roscoe Lee Brown, he said to me, he said, Russell, you want who wants you, period. You can't do them all. Don't take one over the other based on what's going to pay more. Whatever hits you, whatever strikes you, but be clear and be fair with that. And when you're starving,
yes,
it's
hard to say no to some of that.
It's hard not to take the big piece of meat, but there are times when it is of great benefit, and it has been over my career and my life. So again, the phone's ringing right now, and it hadn't been for a while. So I'm juggling a bit, and I promise you'll know.
Yeah, please keep us posted.
Yes, we'll get back to you, and you'll know.
And listeners, of all the things Russell has shared with us today, certainly attract great work. But if you're waiting for the phone to ring, you still got to do your sit-ups and eat your pancakes. I love that.
You still have to do it.
That's going to be in the highlights, Russell. I cannot thank you enough for sharing your stories and the inspiration behind
brother. I appreciate it.
Knowing that it's based on actual events and an actual family story makes the story even more meaningful. And I really appreciate you sharing that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and definitely come back to us when those phone calls. Come back.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to hear all the things you're working on. The Shoes book. Right, let's sell that book. Let's get that short shot, and let's keep those Stage Walker events coming through too.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Have a good week.
You bet. Thanks a lot. And listeners, thank you for coming by and taking in some of Russell's experience and wisdom and all the creative practitioners that you hear on this show. We stamped our creative passport in Los Angeles today, but we're going to continue our around the world journeys to hear other practitioners' stories about inspiration, organization, and connections. And then most of all, as Russell shared with us today, pushing through the fear, overcoming the obstacles, and getting the work out into the world. So until next time, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This program was produced by BSB Media, creators of IntelliKey Leadership Stories, Unlocking Your World of Creativity, and thepeaceroom.love. Are you an author who's tired of the long waits and low royalties? ExactRush is here to change the game. We specialize in publishing with precision, and we get your book to market in just 3 to 6 months, not years. But we're not just about books. We also support your photography, web design, and content creation needs. Our focus ranges from spirituality to pop culture, and we're excited about our diverse lineup of upcoming releases. So, if you're ready to keep more of your hard-earned money and get published faster, ExactRush is your ticket. Visit ExactRush.com and turn your creative dream into a profitable reality today.